In other entertainment news, one thing I've noticed recently is that we'll just say specifically. So Joe Budden has had a couple instances where he's brought up this whole like it almost seems like he has like a hatred towards young people. And
Do you think it is?
I think it actually is because it's been too many there's been too many instances of like him bringing up the youth and the things that they do, and it's always negative. Like it's almost like there's never. You know what? Let me not say that because I feel like I'm gonna say that, and then there's gonna be some instances where he gives people props because
He probably has.
it's just like I don't know. It just seems like
I mean, he kind of gets props even in his negativity. That makes sense. Like, 'cause I know you're probably gonna bring up the Travis Scott stuff,
and also
but
additional stuff.
it's like he was basically calling Travis and Cardi bozos for like what they did at the Grammys, but he was saying like in the same breath though he's still complimenting that like that they run shit, but that just wasn't a place to perform it, that song. So it's like he's still complimenting like that they could have these huge crowds in Coachella, but we don't need to hear Fiend at the Grammys.
Yeah, but why?
But I still do agree that it's mostly very negatively driven the topics. Like it's very, he goes in.
Why can't we hear Fiend at the Grammys?
Exactly. Like who cares that the people are in suits? That's why I do kind of hate when older people do push antiquated like ideas. It's funny because they don't even realize that they're becoming that. Like they're becoming literally the older people that they probably like hated when they were younger.
Yeah.
Because like I even like people always talk about that like people would be like, oh, like why is this person doing this here, or why are you wearing that there? Like what happened to decorum? And while I understand all that, at the same time it's like we're like, why are we following man-made like ideas?
So because people are in suits.
Yeah, you can't listen to Fiend.
What's funny about that too is that Kanye actually had a bar. I forget which album it's on. It's either Late Registration or College Dropout. But he was saying, he said y'all wear suits because y'all don't know how to dress no more, because he's talking about the executives, the music executives. Yeah,
because they're older. So that's
but then in Dark Twisted Fantasy era, he had everybody show up to the studio in suits. And so it's kind of, I feel like it's kind of one of those things. It's like when you're young, it's just like the young rebellious. You're young and rebellious when you're young, and then when you get older, you hate the youth. And low key,
and you only hate it because you're not cool enough to be in it anymore. In my opinion, which is a lot of people.
Which is kind of what I wanted to like discuss a little bit because
I always love the youth, no matter like what. I just think it's cool. They don't bother me.
I kind of feel like there is some sort of so we have hip hop culture, black culture as like a whole thing. So let's just say black culture, black American culture is the whole thing, and then within that we have music, TV, arts, fashion, just societal things. And for me, I feel like there's different, even that gets drilled down derivatively amongst different categories too. So like when you talk about fashion, New York basically is fashion for the world, really realistically. But New York fashion is a lot different than something like California fashion. And it's not like super different, but it is a little bit different to some extent because California has just different weather. So they just, year round, they have a certain style of dress. Like you could tell somebody is from California versus from New York.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
So for me, low-key, I don't think that he's necessarily like a hater, but I do think that people should be accepting of a culture that they're not technically actually a part of. So to be specific about that is that the streamers are a part of a specific culture within society. And what I've seen from people on the internet is that literally it's always a comment. What is this? What does he even do? Why is he famous? Why is he important? What's his talent? Right.
Yeah.
So number one, first and foremost, not everybody is gonna be Oppenheimer and be some like crazy scientist and have some amazing talent, or they can sing, or they can juggle. Like that's not like the average person.
Yeah.
Because the people that leave those comments, typically I'm like, well, what is your talent?
Yeah,
What do you do? What do you expect?
Yeah.
people to be doing.
Because people expect so much of others that they don't even expect from themselves.
Right. So that's the one thing. Why are these streamers so because they're entertaining, right? Their talent could literally just be that they're funny. Like that's his talent is that he can make people laugh and he can bring hundreds of thousands of people into a stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's working clearly.
And it's working. He just got a Nike deal too. So shout out to Kai for securing that. He's just played in the celebrity football game either I think it was today or it was yesterday. With the NFL, so again, flown out to Vegas.
I'm sure he's out there for Super Bowl weekend.
Yeah, that's where the celebrity game was at. So clearly it's working. Clearly people are tuned in, but
and he's not really doing anything harmful.
He literally hasn't done anything.
That event that he planned. Yeah, that was a little.
The jail one.
The event that he planned where the people pulled up.
Oh yeah.
And it's not like he had ill intent, and I'm sure it was a learning lesson. But it's not like anything that he's doing is that crazy. Like he's just reacting to stuff, screaming, laughing, hanging out with his friends.
And people be so mad about it.
Yeah, it's so weird.
That's what I mean. Like that's a whole different culture. Like number one, it's for the youth. It's for people in a certain age range. So it's not for you.
You're not the target audience.
You're not the target audience. So people, because that happens all the time. Like with fashion, it's like, what is this? Like, it's like, well, you're not the target audience.
I hate when people have like their 2 cents. Like it's like regular. Like people always do it with Balenciaga. Like I'm sorry, Balenciaga didn't make this with you in mind. They didn't. Like regular everyday people, we're not the target audience. The people who could afford it easily are the target audience.
Yeah.
Some people always want to have their 2 cents like, oh, Balenciaga thinks they think they're funny. They trying to scam. Like they playing you guys. I'm like, playing who? You're not the target audience. The people that could afford it, this $2,000 ripped up shirt that looks like it's from Walmart is worth like $1 to them. The people who are the target audience, $2,000 is nothing for them. So who's getting scammed? That money is nothing to the people who could afford it. You're not the target audience. So why do you feel the need to say they're scamming you? Balenciaga is not thinking about you.
And also,
what?
And also, it's a regional thing as well. Like Balenciaga's target audience isn't gonna be people from certain areas either, right? So like people in Texas have money. Some people in Texas have more money than whole sections of the country. Oil money, all types of stuff down in Texas.
Yeah.
Balenciaga's not making clothes for people in Texas.
Yeah.
The heat just won't allow it. Like they're wearing, like they're making leather goods. Like
city
they're not
people.
Yeah.
New York
where it gets
London,
cold.
Paris.
Like
Antwerp.
Like,
Belgium, like over there.
The fashion hubs.
Yeah.
So like that's a culture that you're not actually a part of. You might enjoy clothes and putting on certain clothes, but you're not a part of that specific subsection. And so what I've seen.
And then with even the money. Like
even the money too.
Balenciaga's not targeting Shaquanda from Jackson, Mississippi.
No need to put
I'm sorry.
No need to put racism into it.
No, because there's always the people in the shade room that like are talking.
That's true.
Like Shaquanda from Jackson, Mississippi, you are not the target audience for the $5,000 Levi's with paint on them from gallery department. You're not. So you don't have to worry about them scamming you because they're not worried about you.
Yeah. So that's one thing. I think there's a big disconnect with society. I think because people belong to an overall umbrella group of something, like people enjoy hip hop, so hip hop's a big umbrella. So then they'll comment on like 90s boom bap rappers will comment on like Atlanta rappers. Yeah. But like that's not the target audience first and foremost.
Yeah.
And also you're part of a different culture. You're part of 90s culture.
Yeah.
And it would be the same inverse. So like the older kids can't comment about what happened in the 90s either because they're not a part of that culture. So it does work both ways.
Yeah.
Because
there should just be a mutual respect on both sides.
Right. And that doesn't happen sometimes. So the youth does have that youthful arrogance too. So it's not just that there's the old haters, but like both sides need to just have a common respect because
that's why when we had the conversation about the millennial versus Gen Z with the looks, it's like the argument on both sides is weird.
It is.
Because the
what
youth,
are we arguing
why are you
about?
disrespecting the older people? Because you're gonna become that age one day. And the older people, why are you guys disrespecting the youth?
Arguing kids.
You're being weirdos. Like, go raise a family.
And so what happened was Kai was doing a stream. Basically what happened with all this is Kai was doing a stream and he's a part of the youth, extremely disappointed about the Travis snub, which it is a snub. Like, I'm sorry.
It is.
It is.
And it happened twice.
And Killer Mike is great and he's done a lot in hip hop. Obviously he doesn't have commercial success, but that's because the type of content he makes typically isn't going to get commercial success. Like it just is not. Kendrick is kind of one of those people that's been able. Kendrick and J. Cole are kind of the people that have been able to break out of that and to like have huge commercial success with the type of content they talk. Like Killer Mike is trying to uplift the community and all that other stuff.
That's probably why
unfortunately, people aren't entertained by that. People don't want to hear basically like and that's not all he does. So I definitely don't want to make that that sound like that's all he does. Like he's very versatile. Like he's very good at making music. He's good at what he does. Like he's been doing this for years. So and I'm well aware. I'm not Kai. I'm not one of the younger people that might not necessarily know. But Travis did get snubbed. Sorry, it's just a fact. It's not even a debate. So Kai was obviously upset about that. Gave his comment saying like, "Who even is Killer Mike?" So yeah, youthful arrogance there,
He didn't have to
ignorance.
say that.
He doesn't know who he is. Obviously, he won a Grammy. He was nominated for a reason. So clearly, he's somebody anyway. But
so Kai was wrong for saying
right.
that. Yeah.
But on the inverse of that, there seems to be like on Joe's side, the attacking of the streamers are just youthful people, right? So like Travis, Cardi, and then he keeps bringing up Kai.
Yeah, he's so mad about Kai.
Yeah,
because he probably sees like because that's low key like Kai is kind of like the new age of like podcasting in a way. You know, like the same way we enjoy podcasts, it's the same way these kids enjoy just watching streams. So it's like
streamers are way more popular than podcasts.
And I know Joe's like sitting there like, damn, like, cause you know he was the top of the game with this podcast and stuff in the Black community for a minute, right? And then stuff kind of fell apart. So I know he's like, damn, like look how this kid's able just to garner all these views and get all this success, and you know I have this whole professional setup, and I'm not reaching the same success. So it's almost like you are hating.
Yeah,
because like it's like it does seem like he's like fixated on to Kai, right? Like he talks about him a lot. I always see clips, and I'm like, why is he talking about Kai again?
Yeah, and I can't tell if that's like a clicks thing.
Yeah,
just bringing up something. I mean, because it's kind of a hard thing because it's like it is culture.
Yeah, it is culture.
It is a cultural thing, but it's just I don't know if there's anything positive, right? Like, is there gonna be like a shout out for the Nike deal? Like,
right. But yeah, you're gonna talk about the positive things.
Do we ever like a black person getting a Nike deal from streaming, and he's 21 years old from the Bronx?
Yeah,
you know, pretty sure Joe was born in the Bronx, if I'm not mistaken, or Queens.
Yeah, right. It's still New York, so it's like where's the New York?
No, he's born in Queens. I think. I don't think he was born in the Bronx, but still, he lived all over. But so yeah, it just seems to always be something negative when it comes to like a subsection of the culture that he doesn't necessarily belong. And it's not even to attack Joe specifically, but this is just overall. People do this all the time, like with everything. Like, for example, like if women do makeup and there's a specific type of thing, like let's just say the trend is to have lashes that just look like bats, just like massive lashes.
The 25mm era.
Nah, I'm talking like bigger than that. Like
no, those are the big ones.
Like it looked like a parrot is on your eyes. Like if that's just a thing, and there's a specific subsection of the makeup community that does that, anybody that's not in that subsection shouldn't be like it's not. It doesn't concern you.
Yeah,
it's like the people that don't wear makeup that want to just tell everybody in the world that they don't wear makeup or that they don't do it. Like it's like.
So like, who are you trying to prove it?
Belong to your community.
Yeah.
And just be in your community.
That's the thing. I feel like people be telling themselves, like, you're not truly confident or prideful in what you are doing if what others are doing bothers you. Because if you truly are happy to be a no makeup girly, then you don't have to keep saying it. Like it's like you're trying to prove, who are you trying to prove to? You're trying to prove to yourself that you love being a no makeup girly. Like, why? Like, oh, I don't need to wear makeup. Yeah. Okay, like. Then just live in that and be comfortable with that. But why you had to announce that? It's almost like because you're not confident in it. Like you are bothered in a way about people who wear makeup. Because if you weren't, then you wouldn't have to say anything about it. I know plenty of girls that don't wear makeup that don't even mention. They don't make that a personality trait. Like that's just who they are.
Let me ask you this.
And that's what I respect.
He also made some comments recently about Adin Ross too. He said,
Joe?
Yeah. He said, "Who the fuck is Adin Ross to tell me about anything that goes on in the culture?" No,
well, I agree with that because I don't think anybody who's not in the culture should speak on the culture.
Now,
that goes for even black people who are not in the culture.
Got you. So,
because you wasn't there, and you have no roots to it. It's not in your. It's not in your blood. It's not in your blood.
Got you. So
I agree with that. Okay, Adin, who is Adin to speak on anything? Like Joe was there. Like Joe was one of the biggest. Like He was there during a lot of the changes that happened in the hip hop community. Like he was there through a lot of errors.
No. So Adin didn't say anything specifically. Joe just threw his name out there. Like he wasn't saying.
Oh, okay. So he was just speaking like kind of high level. Like like I don't want to hear anything about anything from him. Because why is he telling me about hip hop or anything in the black community? Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
That's why, like for me, like I like Kai. Like I don't watch these streamers, right? But I've never really liked Adin. He doesn't bother me like personally, but I mean, does Adin speak anything about? Well, he does, right? Because he had 21 Savage, right? He has a lot of black artists,
He
so he does kind of like lean in towards the black community.
he does, but he definitely doesn't make any comments about like specific things. Like he doesn't give like commentary like, oh, like this is what's going on in the community and these people are doing this. Like he's just kind of like he hangs out with. Well, he really hangs out with everybody, but
Okay.
like he's not like
He's not
like
a commentator.
commenting. Yeah,
Okay,
he's just
so
like
then-
he's just an entertainer.
So then I feel like Joe's just throwing his name out there. He doesn't really truly even watch his content, but he just wants to bash on Adin.
Yeah, like he's just a part of the youth, and he like just brings in like
Just a vibe. He
just
be
like
chilling.
rappers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or just people in general. Like
I mean, it is kind of interesting though, 'cause I always do wonder, like, you know, but we talk about that with Bobby Altoff too, like, why as someone who's not a part of the community, why do you lean so much into that? I know it brings views, and I know it's like the shock value, I guess, but it is kind of like a little.
Well, that's definitely not all he does. That's the other part too. Like he has this.
That's true.
He like it's just black culture is so impactful that people tend to like
You can't escape it.
gravitate to that specifically. And I'm saying like when he does streams with everybody, like he's had his people from other races, like he does everything, like all across the board.
Yeah,
like I'm pretty sure he's had like Benny Blanco. Like he does everything in the world when it comes to streaming. It's just that because we're so hyper fixated on black culture that the clips that get circulated around are gonna be centered around like
true.
Playboy Cardi, for example.
Yeah.
So all of the other stuff he still does too. So he's not so hyper fixated. He's just like almost like I think we've kind of had like and I want to use this very carefully. We've kind of had like in some degrees like a blending of cultures in a sense where like it almost feels like to me where like the young kids, it like broke down a lot of barriers with each other's cultures. I think.
Yeah.
Mostly people coming into the black community, but like when it comes to the dances and stuff like that, I feel like they almost don't see race as much.
Yeah.
In a way. Where it's like just tied to TikTok basically. Where like,
it's like TikTok culture.
Yeah, TikTok culture, but a lot of that is just black culture.
You know, I mean, obviously, I don't agree with that. I'm very stern on my views of like gatekeeping and stuff because I feel like I'm all for like everybody like I'm fine with people like dabbling in everybody's culture and like enjoying it, but I'm always gonna just be like just make sure you give credit where due. That's all. Like people, you know, like I have no issues with people enjoying our culture, right? Because it is cool. Like I would be mad if I wasn't gang too, right? Like I'm like, you know, I would be like damn, they lit like too, because like I get it, like we're obviously cool people. My issue is when people start hijacking stuff. So don't talk about we black, like this our stuff, and you know your parents came here on a plane in the 80s. Like no, it's not we. Like yeah, we're black, we share the same skin tone, but it's my culture. And I respect your culture. Like I don't try to claim Jamaican culture. I don't try to claim Nigerian culture because that's not mine. I respect it. I love it. It's beautiful, but it's not mine. I mean, I feel like, but they do it with us because they were born here. But it's just because you were born here that doesn't mean it's your culture. So that's where I have an issue. Like I love people like enjoying our culture, and I love enjoying other people's culture. Like I love trying different foods and traveling, but just respect the people that are in it and respect the separate identities.
Yeah.
But Adin doesn't do that.
He doesn't.
So that's why I'm
not from what I've seen.
Yeah.
A comparable person would be somebody like to me, and people might not like this, but I think Fantano would be one of those people where it's kind of tough. He has made a career off of like reviewing people's music.
He's white.
Yeah. And it's not like there's a very split opinion on him. For me, I don't care to listen to anybody else's opinion on music ever. So I don't particularly, it's not my type of content. Like I don't want to go, like I would never watch, like I used to like do music reactions, but I would never be the type of person to watch somebody's reaction to music because I don't care what anybody else's opinion on music is actually. Like I don't want to hear anybody else's like perspective on music except for the people that actually made it. Like I want to hear the stories about what happened if somebody made the songs themselves, but I don't care about some random YouTuber or streamer and what their opinions on a particular album is. I really don't care because it's all about how I feel about the album that matters to me.
Yeah.
So he has had like a real tough criticism of like a lot of rap?
Well, I'm all for the criticism because I do like I know people probably don't like this perspective, but I just feel like yeah, like you could become a subject matter expert, but it's not you, and it won't ever be you. So I just think you should just not speak on it.
Yeah, it's like a real
It's a
tough
tough
thing
thing
because
though,
it's
because
like
people will
people.
say like, oh, but what makes you think I can't speak on it?
Yeah,
But I don't know, because obviously like you could be black and not be knowledgeable on the things, you
but
know.
for
But
me,
I just feel like you're not the target audience, so it's like you shouldn't really be speaking on things that you're not the target audience for.
that's
Like
where
you,
yeah.
the stuff that these people are rapping about and singing about is lived experiences that you'll never know what it's like, you know.
Yeah, so
Like
even
we can't relate to a lot of rap
I was just about
music
to say
because
that I
because
can't
like
relate to like any of it
we
really.
weren't raised in like the hood. We weren't raised in like underprivileged class. Like we were obviously I would say a privileged class. We were upper middle class people in 2-parent households. So like our experience is not 100% relatable to other black people, but we do experience the same level of like the black experience. But we fortunately haven't experienced the bad, the worst sides of it when it
Yeah,
comes to like being raised. Like we was just listening to that song yesterday when he's like, "You don't wake up to no gun sounds." Who said that? Dirk.
mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Yeah." I was listening. I'm like, "Yeah, we
Yeah.
haven't. Thankfully, I didn't have to wake up to
My
gun sounds.
my dad.
Thankfully, but your dad did, yeah. So and you hear the stories from him. So obviously the music hits for him more,
Yeah,
than
it
it would
doesn't
for
hit for
you.
me. I can never. I can appreciate it for what it is and be. It's the difference between
Like enjoying the art.
being God. Why am I forgetting the name? Being an empath and being sympathetic to those scenarios. So like I'm an empath where it's like I've been with people close enough, my friends and growing up and stuff like that. They grew up in those kind of conditions, so I'm an empath in that sense where it's
Yeah.
like I haven't experienced it personally, but I could, based on the experiences that people describe to me, I'm like,
Yeah.
I could feel for you, but I can't be sympathetic because I haven't actually gone through it, so I don't know what it's actually like.
Yeah.
So people, if you don't know, you should probably learn, like look up the two definitions of that.
Yeah.
Showing sympathy really is only if you have experienced it yourself, because you're upset for someone else because you've experienced something yourself.
Yeah.
Empathy is, you might not necessarily have ever gone through that scenario, but you feel for someone.
Yeah.
So
But I guess some white people use the argument that they grew up in the hood and they grew up in those experiences, so that's why they can relate to the music. So I mean, I could get that, but you'll
but
still never relate to the black experience.
no, but the people that are doing these videos certainly have
Yeah,
not.
no, the people doing these
Not
videos
even
were
close.
raised in the suburbs with 2 parents
Yeah, like if we want to talk about
with
Eminem,
money.
Eminem
Yeah,
is
Eminem.
would be one of those cases.
Yeah,
Like
and that's why people in the black community accept.
that's why we rock with him.
Yeah.
Because he shared a similar experience, and he's never tried to claim black culture either. And he literally said that he's a guest. So.
Yeah, he. That's the thing. That's
So
why
he
people
acknowledges
respect
it
him.
too.
But the thing is, people could say that about us though. Like, oh, you guys were raised in the suburbs, but we still could relate to blackness. Like, and like you said, your dad grew up in that, right? My mom literally grew up in the
Welfare,
heart.
poverty.
My mom literally grew up in the era of where this hip hop stuff started from. Like, she was born in 1971. Like, lived on Lefferts Place in Brooklyn. Like, if anybody wants to look it up, St. James Place is here, and this is Lefferts Place. So Biggie Smalls grew up literally right there. Like, Biggie Smalls bagged my mom's groceries. Like, she knew him. She knew their family. So my mom was there when it happened. So like, she told me these stories about Brooklyn in the 80s and 90s and like the hip hop boom. So we could speak on these things. Like, yeah, we didn't live it ourselves, but we have those stories right from our own parents, So you don't have to grow up in the hood to relate to the hip hop music, like, And we've seen like that the transition too of like you don't have to be from the hood, right? Kanye kind of changed that whole thing. Like, he was kind of from a little hoodish area, right? But he was like the nerd that made it. So like he kind of did change the game of hip hop, where it doesn't have to be all these gangster rap hip hop people. But Kanye's still rapping about black experiences, right? Like, he's talking about broke nigga racism, rich nigga racism. Like, every black person experiences those things lots of stuff that Kanye talks about. And that's the point that we're making. Like, if you're a guest to black culture, if you're a guest to the black skin tone, then I feel like you shouldn't be talking about a lot of these things if you can't relate to them in some way,
Yeah.
But yeah, So we kind of got off the rails because we were talking about Joe
Way
being
off
a
the
hater.
rails. We're about to hit our time limit.
I know.
But, yeah. So basically, yep.
I mean,
I would just like to see a place where
that has to be. It just has to be a
if for
common
me,
ground.
because we always talk about Black community, but if Kai is not specifically doing anything to harm people, you can make your comments about, okay, maybe he didn't expect people to be drop kicking random people's cars in the streets of New York. Okay, I got you. All right, you can make that criticism. If you want to say he was cosplaying jail too, sure, throw it in there. Aside from that, what he does on a daily basis is he literally sits in a broken up desk chair, office chair, in his room, and he just has made millions of dollars not harming anybody. And
you know what? I will say I didn't like. Was that him or Speed? I feel like it was him. I didn't like the whole having that girl come on the show saying the N-word. Was that him? When he told that girl to say the N-word? Or was that Speed?
Oh, when he was doing the Harry Potter thing?
Yeah, that was Kai, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that. That's not, that's one thing I didn't like.
I think he didn't. I think he wasn't.
Oh, he was expecting her to say it.
Yeah, you didn't see his reaction right after. He was like, "Oh."
But then don't say that. Don't tell her to say it in the first place.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still not like harmful, I would say. But yeah, that's the thing. Like Joe should just not say nothing unless, like you said, unless he's doing something very harmful that he feels needs to be called out and corrected.
Why not just support?
Just support the new thing, because that's the thing. Every generation complains every single time, but this is just a new era. Like, as an older person, we could just appreciate it, right? Like, we're 27, so I would still say we're still considered the youth, right? Like, but eventually we're starting to age out of this, right? And we're starting to see the younger 20s and the teens coming up and what they're doing. And yeah, sometimes it is off-putting seeing 10-year-olds in Sephora knocking girls out for skincare, but who cares? It's not harming me. No, like I heard that their 10-year-olds are
knocking people
out.
out.
They're not knocking people out, but they're being like very disrespectful and rude, like to say older people and workers for drunk elephant skincare.
If you pull up a TikTok,
you know how envision a 10-year-old girl and how
10-year-old knocking somebody out. I would have lost my mind in here.
Nah, envision like 10-year-old girls, catty. Excuse me, where's this product, and like snatching it to make sure that This one girl said literally she was in the store about to get an item, like it was like this skincare drops for drunk elephant, and a 10-year-old came up and snatched it, and she was like, she said like too slow or something. I would have been like, I'm like too slow, like she was, and then she was like yelling at like this employee, like cutting people in line, like excuse me. So even though that's just 10-year-olds. But
crazy.
As long and like unless they do something like directly to me, like who cares that the kids are like, yeah, like we had Justice and Claire's and we was wearing baby lips, but that was just what the time was. Like I'm sure there's still a lot of kids doing that too. Like, but don't act like you wasn't at 10-year-old trying to use your mom's makeup. Like this is nothing new. It's the same stuff we see every generation, and people act like it's so much different. Like the only thing I think is different is social media, and the impact is definitely going to have an impact. And I think a lot of people don't have a mind of their own anymore. And that is definitely affecting people in that way, and like the youth in that way. But other than that, like I'm always open. Yeah, let the youth be the youth. Like there's no stopping what they're gonna do. So you talking about it and you insulting it, it's just making you look old and bitter. Like you could have your little table time talks at home amongst your family, and feel how you feel about what they're doing. But coming on the internet,
the red table.
Yeah, coming on the internet, coming on TikTok, going on podcasts like Joe and stuff, and just berating them, it's just very like you just look old and bitter. Like worry about your life and what you're doing. Like they shouldn't affect you. They don't bother me. Like I love what we're doing. Like I love where we're at in life, and they don't bother me. Like even the girls I was bumping into me at the Travis show, right? Like I was like, okay, they doing the most, but I let them be them. Like I was even them bumping me, I didn't care. Like you're just having a good time. I used to be that same crazy person when I was 21 too. Like so it's just like Joe just needs to, he is looking very bitter sometimes. And I like him, but sometimes he does be looking bitter. And people try to make that same argument when he talks about Drake too. So
yeah,
he definitely, I guess it is what it is though. People getting older and realizing their own demise is that they're faced with that.
Demise is a wild word.
No, but they are faced with that. Like you look in the mirror and you're like, this is not the person I'm used to seeing. And like you realize you're aging and there's no stopping time, and that you're just slowly not cool no more, but that's okay. That's a part of life. It's a circle of life. Yep. Enjoy it in the moment, But I'm always be cool no matter what age I am.